Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's going to have a great hump day. I hope you're doing your humping. I hope you get over the hump or what. I just hope your hump dreams come true because it is hump day. And it is a holiday weekend because, just a few nights ago, it was graduation over here at the school. So school's out for summer. Kids are happy and everything else. The temperatures are warming up. The sap's running in the trees. And the Dallas Cowboys are into OTAs, getting ready. Oh, boy. Getting ready for the season. And come June 6th, we have minicamp. And then it's school's out for summer for the players until we have training camp. Cowboys have done a lot. Now, I'm here over at the Red Brick House, and I'm just sitting in the spot where, although we're having a discussion between me and my wife, I want to have my studio set this corner right here because that way I can see the sunset over there. She thinks it should be over in that corner. But we'll have that discussion once we get it finished. If that's the worst problem I have, then I've got no problems. But looking at the Dallas Cowboys and what they have achieved this offseason, I don't know why Chris Canty is always so down on the Dallas Cowboys. And I've got to go back and look at what he had to say last year about them. I don't know if it's because, it seems like when you work for ESPN and you're a former Cowboy, you get beat in and you have to trash the Cowboys to seem credible. But it's funny that he thinks that the Giants will win 9+ games, but the Cowboys will win 9.5 or less games. Basically saying that the New York Giants are going to be a better team than the Cowboys. Now, I'm not going to dispute and say that the Giants last year played better than they had in previous years, but really? Somehow a team that's won 12 games back-to-back is considered ass. And this whole thing of Kellen Moore, that the Cowboys are going to miss, Kellen Moore so much that, they're not going to be the same team and this, that. Come on, that's some bullshit. That's some bull jiggity. And somehow that Kellen Moore will have been a better play caller than Mike McCarthy. Now, to me, I'm sorry, that's the biggest piece of shit I've ever heard in my life. Jet, wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah.
That people literally talk about how good Kellen Moore was as a play caller, but how the Cowboys are in trouble with Mike McCarthy calling plays.
No. Kellen was worried about stats.
Kellen was worried about stats. I have to agree with that. That's the perfect analogy right there. That Kellen Moore was more worried about getting stats and stuff and so on.
Calling a game that wins.
But the other thing about like Kellen Moore, it's kind of like the Jason Garrettism, I like to call it. Yeah, everybody say hello to Jet D. Jet D's over here working on the tile in the bathrooms and things. The thing about about Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett always coached well in the regular season,
yep.
But when it became a pressure game,
right,
7-8.
Yep.
8-7, and you win and you're in the playoffs, or in the playoffs, it was like a different game.
Yep.
And I look at like when we were playing in the playoffs 2 years ago against San Francisco, the things that the Cowboys did the best: play action,
yep.
12 personnel, bootlegging Dak. We didn't do any of that in the playoffs against the 49ers. Right. It was like we forgot about all of that stuff, and it was just like sling the rock. And that's always felt like Jason Garrett as well. Now, if you're going to ask me, who do you want to have calling plays? I'll say I'll take the guy who at least has called plays all the way to a Super Bowl and won some playoff games.
Ditto.
Kellen Moore's got one playoff game win. Experience matters. It's kind of like I could have hung the drywall here, and I'm not bad at it, but I'm not great at it. These guys have all the drywall hung. They got most of it mudded. I'd probably be still hanging the drywall. Experience matters. That's not to say if I didn't hang drywall for another, 5 or 6 years that I wouldn't be as good as them. I probably would be. but that time takes. And I ain't got time for learning on the job
Nope.
for Kellen Moore. I don't know about you. He's the whiz kid and the next great coach. Sorry, I'm not there with it. But Jerry Jones was asked about Mike McCarthy calling plays and if he's comfortable with it. And of course he's going to say he's comfortable with it. I feel more comfortable having Mike McCarthy than Kellen Moore any day of the week.
Same.
This whole thing where the Cowboys are going to take a step back, they had the first place schedule last year. They lost their quarterback with a broken thumb. I think about Russell Wilson when he broke his thumb. It was 4 weeks before he even had a multiple TD pass game. We didn't skip a beat even with that. And we were 12-5 without a second wide receiver, with Zeke Elliott on one leg for part of the time. I think you've got the basis of actually a really, really good team here. And I look at the amount of talent, and especially with the defense. Jet, what are you most excited about for this season with the team?
Most excited about. Well, quite honestly, I'm actually most excited about
The defense?
McCarthy. Well, the defense is going to be amazing. That's back. We know Quinn's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only going to be better this year, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So that's a given, and that's exciting. But I'm actually excited. Kind of rolling back to what we were talking about before. Kellen Moore's going, man. I remember from when I was learning how to bull ride, and this applies across all sports.
Mm-hmm.
Guy,
Yeah. Most interesting man in the world.
the guy, he trained with boxers and a few different high-level sports people, and he was an international champion twice when he was my coach. But he said, practice doesn't make perfect.
Uh-huh.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
There you go. That's
you
the
have
truth.
to be practicing the right things.
You play like you practice.
Wrong, you can
Mhm.
practice wrong all day long, and you're gonna play wrong.
You're
Practice
100% right. Yeah. So yeah, and I feel more comfortable with Mike McCarthy that if he is on the hot seat, that he's the one who's fighting for his job as opposed to Kellen Moore being the one. I always felt like there was a tension between the two of them. And Mike McCarthy played it the right way, because if Mike McCarthy had gone through and basically had said, I'm taking over the play calling, he would have been kicked under the bus, because ultimately they said, well, Kellen Moore should have been. That was our guy. He had to let Kellen Moore fail, so that way they'd say, okay, what do you think? And I also believe that the Cowboys actually have evolved their thinking. We always heard about Jason Garrett, never got a chance to really coach because Jerry Jones and crew were always there, micromanaging him. But I actually look at it a little bit differently. I look at it from the point of where Jason Garrett didn't have the experience of being a head coach, and he needed the help.
I agree.
Quarterback coach for 1 year, then all of a sudden you're the offensive coordinator and then the head coach for the Cowboys. They were trying to help him make sure he succeeded. I think when you look at what happened with Dan Quinn, when the defense was so horrendous, and Dan Quinn came in and they didn't mess with him and it worked, I think they're finally beginning to realize that with Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
And they're saying, okay, Mike, you're our guy. We brought you in here. What do you want to do with it? Yep. And you now have Brian Schottenheimer, offensive coordinator, who is on the same page and working with Mike McCarthy, as opposed to Mike McCarthy saying, the installer does the play calling. Kellen installs the plays. So there you go. Don't look at me. You wanted that guy. You got that guy. Now, he's got carte blanche.
Yep.
And we'll see what he does with it.
Yep. It's exciting for me.
It is. And I'm not getting work done here right now. So I'm going to go ahead. I got to spray the walls here so I'm going to be spackling the walls. Okay. I got to spray the brick. I got to spray the brick. He's working on putting the cement board up and then the mud pan. The guys will be back here doing some more mudding and taping later on this afternoon. I got to get the water line put out there, so I got to clean out the ditch and get the hose up in there. And I got to go get more materials. So if you want to see what's going on in an old house, I'm talking 204 years old, that we're going to make this thing live for another 200 years. Check out my other channel.
Joe Boo's Day Job.
That's it.
You're missing out
Although,
if you're not on there.
shit. I've been here till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it's Jobu's day and night job. There you go. All right. Peace out.